So welcome. I'm Dr. Barry Taylor. Some of you are familiar faces. Thank you for coming again. Thank you for coming again. Oh, you're here. Thank you for coming again. And look, this lady's going to even give it a try. And she's going to hold down the other side of the back row. She's a back row kind of girl. Yeah. So if you'd be good enough to sit up straight, I start my talks by kind of getting grounded and centered and present. I know knitting makes you very present. And just sit up as straight as you can. I'm welcoming you. Take a nice, slow, deep breath. Bring your awareness to the bottoms of your feet. Take a nice deep breath through the bottoms of your feet. It's a way of getting centered, way of kind of letting go of what you did to get here. Thank you so much. And in your imagination, connect to the earth below the floor of this room. Take your mind's eye and imagine below the foundation of this building, there's earth. And take a nice deep breath and bring the energy of that earth up through the bottoms of your feet. It's okay to close your eyes a little bit. Keep your head up as straight as you can. See if you can keep your head still. And just let it go. One more time. In your imagination, imagine the earth below this floor. There's earth. Grab onto some of that energy and pull it up through the bottoms of your feet, through your calves and thighs and abdomen, center of your chest. Nice deep inhalation. Move your lungs. And just let it go. Just let your breath leave your body. One last thing. With your right brain, as you're imagining, bring some elders in your life, maybe some junior high, high school teachers, college teachers, maybe prophets you've read about. In your mind, bring some teachers, some wisdom keepers who've touched you that you've never met or that you have met. Think of their faces. Bring them into your awareness and ask them to sit with you for this next few minutes that we're together. Could be a religious person, could be a family person. Bring one or two people and invite them to be curious with you, and then ask them to help you be curious about what we're going to discuss in the next little bit. Another way of relaxing and just feeling open and receptive. Your shoulders are relaxed, your jaw's relaxed. These beings, alive or maybe not alive, are in your circle of learning. People you respect. Ask them to just have you continue to be open to what I'm sharing with you as possibilities. One more nice breath. Slowly, gently bring that kind of softness into the room as you open your eyes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate it. Everybody okay? Good. Okay. Everybody's got a handout on Zoom. Hopefully you've got a handout that was sent to you. We hope. So raise your hand if you know somebody or you sometimes lay in bed and have difficulty sleeping. You or you know somebody. Really? You don't know anybody who has trouble sleeping? Okay. Okay, but most everybody's, yeah, it's like, right? Raise your hand if you know somebody who's ever talked to you, or you possibly sometimes have thoughts in your head that are kind of like a gramophone state of mind. It kind of keeps going, and maybe is at night, but maybe it's during the day. And so raise your hand if you know somebody who's told you, sometimes I can't get that song out of my head or those thoughts. Yeah, it's kind of, yeah, right? Okay, raise your hand if you know somebody, could be the person sitting in your chair, that when the alarm goes off in the morning, you hit the snooze button and go, oh God, I gotta sleep longer. You know, raise your hand if you know somebody that when the alarm goes off, or you really want to sleep longer. Really? Okay, great. As she yawns. Okay, understood.
I said I don't set an alarm.
You don't set an alarm for that reason. Because the last few you had, you broke by saying snooze.
I have a cat. It's my alarm clock.
So the National Sleep Foundation in the United States says that we sleep about 20% less than we used to in the last century. I want to give you a few stats. There aren't going to be a lot in this talk, but I'll give you a few. 36% of Americans say they get drowsy when they drive. Wow. Okay. 30% of Americans say they often get very sleepy at work. Okay. 20% have lost interest in sex. Nobody sitting in your seat would ever say this, I understand. But 20% of people say they lost interest in sex because they're too tired. Okay. We'll talk about that in another talk. About 20% of people say they miss family events or things they really want to go to or do because they're too tired to do it. Does that sound familiar to anybody you've ever spoken to? Not you, but maybe some other people say, oh, I can't do that, I'm too tired. Some people do. Okay. If you look up WebMD on Google, it says imaging and behavioral studies continue to show the critical role sleep plays in learning and memory. Researchers believe that sleep affects learning and memory in two ways. One, lack of sleep impairs a person's ability to focus and be efficient and to learn. Two, sleep's necessary to consolidate a memory, make it stick, so that recall in the future. It's one thing to remember, oh yeah, I remember, but then 5 or 10 minutes or an hour or the next day, I don't remember that. So we're talking about consolidating memories. So sleep has to do with learning and memory are two big things as to, wow, people who don't want to learn as they get older, people who get really fixed, they're no longer curious and open, I know what I know. Okay, how many of you were at the last talk I gave? Okay, here's your time to help me out. Before I get into sleep, I want to review. So for Ida and a few other people who weren't here last week, or last few weeks ago, excuse me, write notes. You're going to help me. Remember, what are the 10 things we went over that lead to cognitive decline? Does anybody remember any of the 10 factors that lead to cognitive decline? I want everybody to write these down as a foundation of what we're going to get into for the rest of this talk. Anybody remember one of them?
What you eat.
So, she wasn't here, but she gets a B for bingo.
Yay.
Lack of sleep is a factor for cognitive decline. What a guess. Some of you,
She said eat.
What you eat.
Diet.
thank you. 2, write down food is a factor for cognitive decline. 3,
Exercise.
thank you. Despite this woman's unbelievable knitting acumen and talent,
I'm an auditory learner.
she's an auditory learner, she says. So we've got sleep, exercise, food. So that's, say what?
Eyesight and hearing.
Nope, thank you. No, these are 10 factors we went over last time. These are all highly researched. Eyesight, hearing would be results of why it's not causing cognitive decline. We're looking at what kinds of things cause cognitive decline.
Social isolation.
Wow, she's read a little. Okay, or a lot. So write down social isolation, as in community or lack thereof.
Social media.
What?
Social media.
Social media? Nope. Exercise, sleep, food, social isolation. So the other big ones I want you to write down and be aware of that I can send you a video. Those of you on Zoom can email me and I can send you the video of the talk that we gave 3-4 weeks ago. Yes, it was part 1 of this talk. Trauma, concussions predisposes people to cognitive decline. Genetics predisposes people to cognitive decline. Age predisposes people. Heavy metal toxicity, high levels of mercury, high levels of aluminum pots and pans, mercury fillings, too much tuna fish, too much swordfish. Chronic mental or emotional stress, unbridled, unmitigated, you're doing your best, but stress that's still not being dealt with as masterfully as it could. Oh, that could include a lot of people. Infectious agents, long-term infections that are undermining the immune system, affect and have been highly researched causing cognitive decline. Now here's one of the biggies I want you to star. I want you to put a big star next to this one. Blood sugar irregularities, blood sugar dysfunction. So people have been, big into sugar for years about weight and about mood. People who are into nutrition, there's a book called Sugar Blues written in the early 80s, I believe. I've used it for years and years and years. There's a book called Fighting Depression by Harvey Ross. Really, really good book on blood sugar and moods. Certainly people have heard and know about diabetes, which is rampantly on the increase. Yeah. Maybe you've heard it here. Maybe you have heard it before me. But if you haven't heard it, I'm saying to you, in the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, pre-diabetic, diabetic concerns are going to be linked dramatically to dementias, cognitive decline, and how come people's brains are deteriorating. So put a big star next to that, and it doesn't mean no one should eat sugar. Is there sugar in your yogurt? Is there sugar in the donut? Is there sugar in the muffin? Or is there sugar in your mayonnaise? Is there sugar in your ketchup? Oh my God. It doesn't mean you never, ever, ever have ice cream and you can't eat fruit. We're talking about just the predominance of the way our culture and many other cultures on the planet have used sugar massively in our eating. So those are some of the factors I wanted to remind you about that you can learn a lot about. So in the talk that I gave, that I can send you the video if you want to review it, I went into a lot of those in detail. We're today going to really drill down on sleep. And then I'm giving a talk in a few weeks at Carriage House, a wonderful place That'll be the third. It's free if you want to come. That'll also be videoed if you can't come, but it'll be wonderful to have you there. And that's going to be on memory. We could do another whole talk on toxicity so you really understand what happens. Or, did your doctor test you on aluminum or mercury? Do you know if your levels of mercury? Probably not. It's why some people see me or other doctors that will evaluate some of these factors really. Oh, it's not just, oh yeah, my mother had a little mild, moderate dementia or Parkinson's or something, rather than just, oh, it's part of my genetics. So the word that I used, do you remember the word that I used to summarize different lifestyle issues? What is it that turns genetics on or off? Remember? Epigenetics. Write that word down. Epigenetics. So the epigenetics are the kinds of things you eat or don't eat, the kinds of ways you do or don't deal with stress, the kinds of ways you do or don't deal with exercising. Those factors, that word, I'm going to say in the last 15, 20 years, but now is increasingly getting respect on, it's not just genes. We have so much more power. Our capacity to heal is infinitely greater than people have told us. And the way that we have this capacity is that it's not just exercise more. You know, sitting is the new smoking. It's not just, oh, have less coffee and have less sugar, but it's a whole soup. It's a whole buffet. It's a whole smorgasbord of factors that then will affect, this is millions of dollars of research. It may be cutting edge for your PCP, but in some circles, it's not cutting edge anymore of how well you as an individual can turn on or slow down and turn off your genetic predispositions. Whether it's towards cancer, whether it's towards cardiovascular heart problems, whether it's called, this series of talks I'm giving is all about the brain. So what happens when you don't sleep well? How do you feel when you're sleep deprived? Take yourself back to college just for a little bit. How do you... I know, it was another century, but so just make up. How do you feel when you're sleep deprived? Sluggish. Tired. Dragging all day. How do you feel if you're sleep deprived? Tired. What else do you feel? Besides what people have said, tired, sluggish, dragging, what else do you feel when you're sleep deprived?
Not sharp.
Not sharp. Sleep deprivation affects mental focus and concentration. You're less creative when you don't sleep well. What else do you feel? Cranky, irritable. If it goes on long enough, depressed. Just a different way of saying sluggish. It's not just sluggish like getting your butt to the gym. It's emotionally. You're not being as kind and compassionate as you'd like. It's difficult to do the things of kindness that you really can do. It's just who you are. But when you're tired, you know the expression, I'm so tired I could hardly see straight? Yeah, I'm talking about before that. I'm talking about weeks or months before that, when your sleep for a long time is really not quality sleep. So I just wanted to give you a sense of what it's like and how much sleep is related to feeling overwhelmed. Poor sleep is related to being disorganized. It certainly is easy, tired, sluggish, hard to work out, hard to go for a walk. But there are mental effects. There are emotional effects with people you love in terms of how connected you are. How intimate can you be? More than just whether you want to have physical amorous connections or not. I'm talking about heart connections, and what it's like if you're tired. But I mean a lot. I don't mean one day. I mean over weeks or months or longer. So what happens to the brain when you sleep well? Little bit of science, not much in this talk, but a little bit. So during the day, your brain is very active. So your left side of your brain, for this culture, for most of us, is extraordinarily dominant. The left brain takes care of rational, linear, logical, reasonable, analytical, right now. And I sprinkle in some jokes every now and then because I love to make people laugh. And that's a little bit of a tickle for the right brain. Right brain is more about connecting and relating and feeling. When I say our culture, I mean the person sitting in your seat, that we live our lives incredibly left brain oriented. Doesn't mean you don't feel feelings. Doesn't mean you don't feel happy, and sometimes you don't feel hurt, disappointed, or angry. Human emotions is part of being human. But the predominance of our life is, hello, you're talking a lot. You know how much you talk? I talk, you know how much you're listening and talking and doing? It's very left brain. Part of sleep is to use an amino acid called GABA, G-A-B-A. And it kind of sorts all of that left brain activity during the day, and it kind of like stores it, trashes some of it, medical word, not medical word, deconjugates, deorganizes. It's kind of like cleans up the trash of all that thinking, sorry. It just has effects on our body, all those neurotransmitters. And there's an amino acid called GABA, which helps your brain do that when you're sleeping, unless it doesn't. And if it doesn't, it's one of the many reasons that I'm going to go over with you why we wake up tired, or why we don't get the kind of quality sleep that we're hoping will refresh our brains and dramatically impact cognitive decline. And oh, wow, that person's in their early 80s and mid, they're sharp as a tack. Hope I can be that sharp. Well, get your sleep better. And I'm going to give you lots of tips before we end today on how you might do that. So I'm going to read what is online just to summarize what I just said. During the day, there are many neurotransmitters at work carrying all types of signals in every neuron in your brain. The braking mechanism for this activity is a chemical called gamma-aminobutyric acid, or GABA. GABA puts the brakes on the activity of our brain. So with sufficient GABA, you can relax, you can go to sleep. Anybody ever hear of a medication called Ambien? What do you think Ambien does? It releases more GABA in your brain. Ambien doesn't make you sleep. People take it to help them sleep. But so I don't give people Ambien. I give them GABA, very inexpensive amino acid, rather than giving them a drug. Quote, both sleep problems and anxiety and overwhelm disorders may result from problems with GABA, which helps neutralize the effects of another chemical when the brain gets overloaded with excitement, overanalysis, and constant thinking. When there's too little GABA, it causes racing thoughts that sometimes look like anxiety and keep us up at night. As it turns out, your brain doesn't create a chemical to put you to sleep. It actually creates a chemical that stops the activity in your brain, which allows you to fall asleep. And while you sleep, those neurons that work all day get to shut down and repair themselves. If you don't sleep, your neurons may become so depleted in energy, so polluted with trash that's produced by normal cellular activity, that they begin to malfunction. This is exactly what happened when people are so tired they can barely sleep straight. So over time, sleep deprivation could cause health problems. The first sign of sleep deprivation is poor memory, which is why my next talk, and I did this one before my next talk, is we can talk about a lot of tips and herbs and supplements and things that people do, write things down, make lists. There are a lot of things we can do to improve our energy. If your sleep is like a normal person, it's a little bit like going uphill on ice backwards. We need to get our sleep really improved. So we went over, poor sleep can affect dealing with stress not as well. Poor sleep can deal with intimacy issues, not communicating as well as you want. Poor sleep can affect not being as efficient at work. Poor sleep can have you have not just more physical tiredness, but some more emotional anxiety because you're more disorganized and overwhelmed. So you're not alone. Insomnia is about a $20 billion health cost in this country. A lot of people have insomnia. If you know anybody that takes sleeping pills, there's studies that people who take sleeping pills have a 4-time greater risk for dementia than people who don't. Wow, I thought it was going to help you sleep. Yeah, no, it's a Band-Aid. It doesn't do for the brain what you need to do when you really, it's just, clubbing you to sleep with a drug. And hiding what your brain really needs, not alone, it doesn't have you look at exercise or food. Real quick, because we're going to have questions at the end.
Would that include melatonin though? As a sleeping pill?
I'm going to get to that in a moment.
Okay.
Thank you. The answer is no. But you want to be careful of quick fixes of anything I say. But I appreciate that. Okay, so on your worksheet, there's a place for you to write down. Let's go over some tips for better sleep. First thing I'd like you to know is better sleep begins in the morning. Better sleep is not just what you do when you take off your clothes and get into bed. So you want to think of, how you live your day. And a number of these tips, you'll get a sense of what I mean when I say sleep, healthy, optimal, really good sleep. I don't mean off again, mild sleep. I mean really good sleep begins in the morning. First tip, ready? Move, exercise. Walking's good. I'm not talking about walking, and I walk my dog. She's in the car.
You should have just put her in.
I could have brought her in, and
He's always loved it.
I can bring her in at the end. She might be a little distracting. But Honey and I go for, maybe 2 miles, 4, 5, 6 days a week. But I don't get out of breath. I don't get into aerobics when she might, because she's running all over the place off leash. When I'm talking about tip number 1 for sleep, I'm talking about getting your heart involved on a treadmill, on an elliptical, walk, run, something. And if you're 50 and you've got stiff joints, and if you're 60 or 70 and you don't have stiff joints, but your heart is a 60, 70, 80-year-old, then you're going to go slowly. You're not going to go on a treadmill for 20 minutes and go as fast as you can. But I just want to let you know there's an enormous amount of research. I personally have a lot of experience where there have been moments where I didn't work out. First of all, I didn't work out a ton in my life because I was extremely overweight. So there were a huge many years where I didn't move. I was too big. But then when I lost a lot of weight, well, I had to kind of get into it. So I got into listening to music when I was skiing downhill, and then I got into spinning, and I really loved spinning. Who wouldn't like to dance on a bicycle? My God, it was great. I used to do double spin classes almost every Saturday. And I'm talking about the kind of moving your body where I tell clients to wear a hooded sweatshirt and get yourself sweating and bring your heart rate up. That kind of carefully letting me or somebody else you trust guide you so that you're not hurting your knees. And, you know, if you got 5, 10, 20, 30 pounds, you're going to lose a little weight. But there's a whole lot of what happens to your brain with endorphins that, quote, make you feel good. But I have a lot of experience where even in my later years as an adult, where something happened and I didn't exercise for 3, 4, 6, 8 weeks for one reason or another, and then I did, and it was like, wow, I sleep so much better when I really move my body. Easy tip, doesn't cost a lot. If you forget what I'm saying, go to sleep with your sneakers on. Wait, when you wake up, you go, God, why do I have my sneakers on? Oh, that's right, I have to move. Dancing, lots of ways to have fun. Stretching, yoga. You could do yoga really slowly to build awareness, or you could do yoga to really get your heart rate up. With somebody, there are some unbelievable yoga teachers, not me, but something that's aerobic. 2, a little bit more challenging than exercise. Write down, release negative tension. Our body holds mental, emotional negativity. In a world of Ukraine and Gaza, partisan politics, how come we're not up all night long? Some people have spent a lot of time and money learning how to set that aside. I'm going to deal with that in the morning. And there are numbers of ways of having body work, but the kind of massage that's not just releasing tension in your body, but it's healing body work that helps you release places in your body where you're holding. Certain acupuncturists, certain people who can teach you how to breathe differently, can help you recycle energy that, oh, maybe you don't have colitis or Crohn's. Maybe you don't have asthma. Maybe you don't have headaches. The mind-body connection is infinitely more complex than we all grew up thinking. And some of us, like me, have had a hobby for the last 50 years, trying to tease out the knots. Might take me another 50 years. Boy, I'd be pretty old if it took me that long. It's unbelievable. Now, not everybody's colitis and asthma and emphysema and breast cancer and migraines is related to something unresolved emotionally. But if you were a fly on my wall, you would be amazed. Oh, well, their grandfather dying or their dog dying or the divorce or the bankruptcy, well, that didn't cause it. Something else caused their colitis or their heart condition or their asthma or their Parkinson's. But now that they've got what they've got, they are not centered. They're not grounded. They're not trusting. Some of you have read a chapter in my second half of my book on trust. So healing begins with a number of different factors. It's difficult to heal when your mind is all over the place, no matter how justified you might be to being so overwhelmed given the world we're living in. Second tip I'm giving you is find ways to help you deal better, can I be personal, with your monkey mind, the part of your mind that's all over the place. And there are many tools and techniques you can learn to help you be more focused and grounded in the most challenging. There are many ways you can deal with some of the well, I'm fine. I'm not crying. I don't feel anxious. I'm not angry. Yeah, I know you're not, but I'm just wondering how joyful you are. I'm just wondering how lighthearted you are. I'm just wondering how flexible your body is. I'm just wondering, if you're just kind of moving like, God, it's great to be alive. So you don't have to be angry or anxious to have some ways that your body's holding something that I'm just labeling Not saying, you know, you got emotional problems. I'm just saying there's a lot of negativity in the world, you think? And some of us, no matter how smart you are, don't know how to release, that's the word, let it go, but you're doing the best you can. And there are unbelievable, you don't have to go to the middle of the jungle to meet a shaman, and you don't have to do therapy, but there might be ways you could improve your sleep. Probably maybe more than reading a book, but for some of you that might be a start. Just like learning the piano, just like learning tennis. It's like, oh, how could I do some letting go? Might help sleep. So there's a man named John Kabat-Zinn, and he popularized third, I'm just going to label, have you write down, mindfulness. There are a lot of different mindfulness techniques that are breathing techniques, or you could sculpt. This lady knits. That could help her be mindful. What do I mean? Well, she's not thinking of Gaza and Ukraine and what happened to her sister and what happened to somebody who took some money. She's just knitting. But I mean knitting like it's a meditative, deeply calming, relaxing, creative process. So mindfulness practices, which doesn't mean you have to put your tush on a cushion, but it is something different than just reading a book, are different ways that access brain chemicals that as you accumulate them have profound effects on feeling more calm, more relaxed during the day, and sleep then gets affected. So, a topic you're all interested in for better sleep would be food. Miles and miles and miles of nerves in your body. One nerve goes into another nerve. That connection is called a synapse. In that synapse, that connection, where not all nerves are the sciatic, that's a long nerve from your low back all the way down to your foot, but some nerves are real small, some nerves are, but miles of nerves, they connect to one another. What's in the connection in this synapse? Calcium. A lot of people in our culture are very calcium deficient. What depletes you of calcium? Besides that you're not eating calcium-rich foods, or you're in some mythology of decades ago that the best source of calcium is dairy, which the dairy lobby did a brilliant job hoodwinking you, thinking you have to drink milk and eat cheese to have calcium. Okay, that's a different talk, but not really. So what food dramatically influences depleting your body of calcium?
Coffee?
Nope. Sugar. There's that sugars in ketchup, sugars in Hellmann's mayonnaise, sugars in everything. You can, I eat less cookies and less cakes and I don't eat that. Yeah, just start reading the label and start really cutting down on refined sugar, fructose, maybe replace it with honey and maple syrup, but then start cutting down maple syrup and honey. Don't drink straight fruit juice or apple juice. Dilute it down with half water, half juice. The amount of sugar intake we take in is enormous. So you got nerves that connect in a synapse. Calcium disruption is massive. You don't measure it in blood. Calcium in blood is buffered. You measure calcium, functional docs like me measure it in other ways. And wrapping, insulating the nerves, did I say mile? Of nerves, what wraps the nerve so the nerve can have transmissions? Besides calcium in the synapse, what is the wrapping of nerves to insulate the nerve? It's called a myelin sheath. And what makes up myelin sheath? Exactly. Magnesium. Well, I eat vegetables. Oh, really? Bring in a food journal. Let me see what you eat. Well, I eat lettuce and I eat tomatoes and I have a couple of cucumbers. Well, okay, I'm not going to tell you to stop eating that, but that's not beet greens and chard and kale and spinach. Chlorophyll. Take a look at spinach and iceberg lettuce. I don't want to disrespect rabbits, but just look at the difference between lettuce and spinach or kale or chard. So a lot of people in our country don't eat enough chlorophyll-rich magnesium foods and are very low in magnesium. Now that might be why they have leg cramps, and it might be why they have tension in their upper body, and it might be why they twitch, because they need more magnesium in food or supplements. But it's also deeply related to, what are we talking about? Oh, sleep. Magnesium is really helpful for sleep, and you can't just get any magnesium, because if you take magnesium oxide and other kinds of magnesium, you'll get the runs. If you need to move your back, take more. But the kind of magnesium that I use is called magnesium glycinate or magnesium threonate. So there are different forms where you can get more in your body that will be absorbed well. Other foods that are really important, or nutrients that are important for sleep. B vitamins. B1, riboflavin. B2, thiamine. B3, niacin. There isn't B4. B5, pantothenic acid. B6, pyridoxine. B12. A good complex, 25, 50, 75 milligrams in a supplement, if you need a supplement. Well, bring in a food journal. Let me see what you eat. I want to see the time. I want to see what you eat. Do you have sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds and almonds and almond butter? Are you doing whole grains, or do you do white flour a lot? White flour depletes your body in sugar and B vitamins. Do you eat more whole grains than processed grains? So some people, I don't want to make it so easy, take some more B vitamins for a week or two or three and see if that helps you feel more relaxed. You may need more than that. It may be way oversimplification, but worth a try. Alcohol. Did anybody ever tell you alcohol relaxes you? You ever think? Well, it does. There are a lot of people who have a half a glass of wine or a beer or a martini or something, except if you speak to people who have more than a half a glass, like a little bit, to just calm the nervous system, and they have a couple of glasses of wine or a couple of martinis, ask them how they sleep. Yes? Yeah, it's not news. It's right. Most people who drink, they're not teetotalers, a little bit here and a little bit there, but they're drinkers, they don't sleep well. Because alcohol robs your body of B vitamins, big time. Okay, herbs. Melatonin is not an herb. Melatonin works better if you're out of a circadian rhythm and you've crossed time zones or your internal body clock is off. However, there are a lot of people who take 5 or 10 milligrams of melatonin at night and say it helps. Melatonin has really good effects for cancer and other kinds of things, but you should know about melatonin, and if possible, don't get a synthetic form of melatonin, get a more natural form of melatonin. But there's a whole classification of herbs, melatonin is not an herb, that really helps sleep. Do you know what it's called? They're called nervines. So herbs that affect the hormones are called a certain classification. Other herbs are tonics. So there are herbs, passion flower, valerian. What's in beer that makes you tired? Hops. Well, you don't have to have a beer. You can just, get hops in an herb. And so I'll get a quart or a half a gallon or a quart of either a tincture. A pharmaceutical symbol is a 0 with a line through it. It's called a mother tincture. And if you take that mother tincture, alcoholic preparation, and concentrate it down, then it's called a fluid extract. So if you start with an herb that's a root or a plant, a leaf, and you grind it up, put it in a capsule, it can have some medicinal quality depending on the quality of the source of that herb. Or you can brew a tea. Heat will extract some of the medicinal properties out of that herb. But if you take the stem root and prepare it, alcoholic preparation, from formularies late 1700s, early mid 1800s, late 1800s. I'm a book collector. If you come to my office, you'll see all these books from the 1800s. They were herbal texts. They were herbalists. You know, synthetic drugs weren't made then. So today there are places that make herbs from better sourced plants. And a mother tincture is 10 times stronger than a cup of tea that you could drink. Now, there are some herbs that don't taste very good. You probably wouldn't want the tea. But there are some herbs, peppermint tea, chamomile tea, and other things like that, that, well, doesn't taste bad at all. But if I gave you a mother tincture, it'd be 10 times stronger than the cup of tea. If I gave you a fluid extract, it's 5 times stronger than the mother tincture, which is 50 times stronger than the cup of tea. Wow. Well, do you use drugs, Dr. Taylor? Well, I think so. They're just in plants. You know, I do my best to get people off medications that are pharmaceutical, big pharma. Some people need to stay on drugs for another 2, 3, 6 months. And some people might have to stay on some medications for longer than that. But it's not like what I'm doing is drugless. But I'm pretty holistic at looking at a lot of different factors of somebody's body, not just what does this drug do or what does this herb do. So there's some really good things. Sleepy time tea is a tea. It's not going to be as strong as what I might give you if you came see me and let me really work you up. But if somebody had insomnia, they could go to Whole Foods and get some sleepy time tea. And just don't have it at 10, 10:30, 11 and wonder why you're waking up to pee at 2:30, 3 o'clock at night. But you might have a good cup of sleepy time tea after dinner, you know, and see if it helps. Specific nutrients. I already gave you one, melatonin, but on your form, write down specific nutrients: tryptophan, 5-HTP, GABA. I have about 120 different formulas under a Love Your Body label. And one of the formulas I use is for healthy sleep. It's called Healthy Brain 2. Here's one that's easy. Okay, this won't cost you anything. Ready? Remove all electronics from your room. Easy, capizi. 8, set your temperature in your room between 67 and 70 degrees. If your feet are cold, put some socks on. You can sleep in your birthday suit, or if you want to put a nightgown on or something, but be careful of putting on sweats and, you know, just you will sleep deeper if your body is generating some heat. I don't mean I want you to be cold when you're sleeping. I am saying that if you're too warm and comfortable, you won't go down to the kind of deep sleep that we're looking for. I have 9. Have a routine. Have a sleep routine. Write in your journal. Do a mind dump. I accomplished this today. I didn't accomplish this today. I have to do this tomorrow. Take 3, 4, 5 minutes and give yourself some acknowledgement on what you did or didn't do. Take a look at what you have to do tomorrow. Stretch. Take a hot bath if you have a bath. Put some music on. Music is one way that a lot of people are relaxed more through the day. I don't mean Aerosmith, and I love Aerosmith, but I don't mean Purcell trumpets, and I don't mean Vivaldi violins. I mean, there are certain kinds of music, and I could send you a playlist of all sorts of links to relaxation, meditative, non-verbal kinds of music. And, you know, you might like a few and you might not like what she likes and you might like something different because it's about harmonics. It's about frequencies. I have a meadow meditation that I use with clients. Be happy to send you one. It's 10 minutes. You don't have to meditate for 20, 30, 40. It might be nice if you meditated for 20, 30, 40 minutes. But this is a breathing, progressive relaxation, wiggle your toes, you know, where you could listen to it first thing in the morning. You could listen to it right before you go to bed. You'd have to put the phone on or from another room. Well, we'll get you speakers in the other room. The electronics can be in another room. We'll work out the details of how to listen to it. Routines about winding down so you're not watching Netflix, turning it off, go to sleep. You're not on your computer doing work and then go to sleep. You have a routine of kind of letting go of brain activity as opposed to dancing, coming home, oh, tired. Well, that's not a bad idea. Who wants to go dancing at 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock? Raise your hand, we'll get a bus and we'll all go together. Sounds good, but how often are you able to go dancing and you go to sleep because you're so tired? And there are some people who do work out at 9, 9:30, 10 on their treadmill and it gets them tired. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying don't do that, because that could be something you do as a routine. Because one of the things I do when people say, oh, I can't meditate, I don't know how to slow my mind down, is, I don't want to be sexist, but some of these people are men, just saying, but they could be women. When they go to their gym and they work out, and they have a great workout for 20, 30, 45 minutes, they feel terrific, I ask them when they go to the locker after they've showered and they're getting dressed to sit down for 1 minute and go inside. How do you feel? There is something to say, which is why it was my first tip about exercise, about people's mind slowing down after they really have increased their heart rate. So that is something that some people may want to work out 8:30, not half hour after they eat dinner. But I do ask people to eat less for dinner and more for lunch. That's another tip. People who eat big meals at 7:30, 8:30, oh my God, when I go visit people in LA, you know, I say, can we eat dinner like 6:37? And when I'm done at 8:39, the crowds are coming into the restaurants in LA, you know, like they're sitting down at 9:30. Wonder why they need 3 cups of coffee in the morning to get going. Oh, because they were digesting food while they were sleeping. Some people buy a sound machine. That's my last tip. So I'm wrapping up. See if you have any questions. Benefits of quality sleep. Ready? How about aging gracefully? That's the name of our talk, right? You awaken with more clarity, more intention, ready to go, being open to the privilege and the gift that the day has before you. You're able to enjoy and contribute more easily. Better sleep allows for easier healing. Your immune system, your cardiovascular system. You're more resilient, you're more creative. Your nervous system. Your hormones. Better sleep helps with easier healing. Better bone knitting if you broke a bone. All sorts of physiologic functions improve when you've really slept better. It's a big item. It's not just you'll feel more relaxed, calm, softer, bit more generous, bit more calm, easier for you to contribute, easier for you to listen to people, not be so reactive. And lastly, this is aging gracefully with vitality and mindfulness. Your brain gets to organize and reorganize and can consolidate what are called neurotransmitters. Those chemicals in your brain work better. So, summary. Lifestyle trumps, do I have to use that word? Genetics. Lifestyle trumps genetics. That's what, if you don't remember anything that I've said, I want you to leave here, please, inside the front of your forehead, neon ticker tape going across. My capacity for healing is infinitely greater than anybody's really ever told me. And I can move more and have more joy. I can breathe more deeply. I can have more fun. So it's not just doing things during the day. Oh, I like to do that. Are you having fun? Oh, I don't know. Have fun as a high priority. Take some power naps. Give in. Take 10, 15-minute power naps once or twice a day. Oh, I'm old. If I take power naps, young people don't take power naps. Maybe young people should take power naps. It's okay. Remember, knowing that you're taking on what you're watching on TV, what's happening in politics, what's happening at your church, what's happening in your extended family, and knowing that unless you've really gotten masterful, be open to learn some things, how you can give some negative energy back to the universe and not hold it in your body. That will really go a long way for your brain working better, beating the statistics for normal cognitive decline, and it'll also help you sleep better. Those are my notes. Do you have any questions? Anything I can clarify for you? Yes, ma'am.
I have a hard time sleeping without TV on.
You have a hard time sleeping without the TV on. Okay. Sounds like a habit to me.
How do I break it out?
Give your TV away. Give it to somebody else. Don't have it in the house. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. That's a bad joke. Yeah. Get a sound machine. In other words, you're looking for some sound, but it also is, I'd say the challenge for you is where we started, where we were in the middle, and where we ended, is I'm going to say this to you in code because it really is like a whole other hour. Your challenge is to learn to have thoughts and not identify with them. Do you understand what I just said?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're having thoughts and they're gripping you. They're hijacking you. And so the TV is a distraction, literally like background noise. Not to worry. You're still a great person. Get a sound machine as a start, but that's probably not the solution because then you could get addicted to a sound machine. The issue is, how do you move from where you are now? You might need before tomorrow. It might be before next week. It might take you a month or two or three. I hope it doesn't take a year or two. But if it does take a year or two, it could be a great adventure. The issue is, how could you master having thoughts as opposed to every thought that goes through your head grips you a little to a lot. By the way, that's just like a challenge we all have. You might have your version, her knitting means she doesn't have to listen to TV. But that idea of identifying with something other than our persistent gramophone state of mind, it's a challenge for all of us. How can you make it an adventure? How can you make it fun without judging yourself? It's very bad watching TV, or not. You don't watch it. You just need, just maybe you shift to music. Maybe you stretch before you go to sleep. Maybe you take a hot bubble bath. Maybe you do something to relax your muscles. Maybe you take a little tryptophan. I don't know. But I bet if you spent some time, energy, and money, maybe not a lot, maybe a lot, I don't know what it's worth to you, you could probably easily sleep without the TV on. But you'd replaced it with getting your GABA really going. Great question. Yes, ma'am.
Can we get your email or contact information?
Email?
To reach you after this?
You can. My email is Dr. Barry, Dr. Barry, Barry. Yeah, it's on the top. You have a worksheet?
I don't have a worksheet.
You don't have a worksheet.
All this time?
All this
I've
time.
been taking copious notes, though. I'm quite the
I'm so sorry.
Dr. Barry, what?
At drbarrytaylor.com.
Okay.
Would you like a worksheet to transpose all your notes on?
Yeah.
I apologize.
You do consultations with clients and you give them advice?
I have patients from about 40 states. Some of them actually live quite close. Some of them live quite far away.
Okay.
My website is drbarrytaylor.com. Website's email drbarry@drbarrytaylor.com. My phone number is 781-223-6688. There's lots of TV, lots of radio, lots of articles. You can read part of my book. You can buy my book if you would like a copy.
It's on Amazon, but
It's on Amazon, and I've got a copy. I could sign it. It could be worth something down the road. I don't know. And I love speaking to people, and I love working with people. And, you know, we're all puzzles. And so the challenge of somebody's arthritis or colitis or breast cancer or persistent cough, or they can't get rid of Lyme, or their cardiovascular problems, it's like a puzzle of what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, do they have heavy metals, how's their digestion working, how's their immune, not just what should I take. I mean, doctors have kind of gotten us compartmentalized. You know, take this for that. Well, is my symptom from a deficiency? No, your system isn't from a deficiency, but this drug will help you not have that symptom. Well, maybe you shouldn't have that symptom, and maybe you should take the drug for a week or a month or 2 months or 3 months or 6 months. But there's so much more than just taking the drug. So the world we've lived in, kind of the introduction of my book, is a disease management world. Most people don't come to me and say, I'm so healthy. Would you tell me why I'm healthy? Because I'd like to feel this way for the next 3, 4, 6 months. You know, no, most people come and say, I've got this and I've got that. What do you got for this? Well, the way I'm trained in the medical school I went to, I don't treat disease. I'm all about health promotion. But what people who come to me, I have to be somewhat knowledgeable about the breakdowns and diseases they have, or I need to speak to some of the other professionals who know more than I do about their particular diseases. That's a whole other talk. But read my book. It's super readable. You can listen to it on Audible if you drive. You can read parts of it or listen to parts of it on my website for free if you don't want to get a copy. Any other questions? Zoom, anybody got a question?
They're muted. Oh, that's right, they're muted.
They're muted. Unmute. Yes, ma'am. You have a quick question?
You mentioned GABA and there's...
GABA, G-A-B-A.
GABA.
GABA.
Oh, with the B as in boy?
Thank you. Yep. GABA.
So there's a cheap pill you can get?
GABA comes in rather inexpensive powder or capsules, 500 milligrams, 700, yeah, and yeah, I'd suggest you probably want to ask somebody who knows about it, but it is one of those things you can get on Amazon and just get a GABA and some other herbs with it, or just GABA by itself, and see if that helps.
Is there time to take that?
Night. Yep. And it depends on how much somebody takes. The range of GABA is somewhere between 1,000 to 3,000 milligrams a day. I can't from the front of the room say you should take 2,000, but you could start with a 500 milligram tablet and see if it helps. And if not, take 2. God bless you. Be safe. Thanks for being open. Hope to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.